Hello and welcome back to the channel where we are building a video game with Love2d and Lua. Yo, a Pocket, I think I think you flew off before you could get your attack out. So yesterday we went to do saving and loading, right? So the table on screen here is what we load. So I hit L for load, and it loaded a save file with only one health. We also have a save file, so if we have no hearts and we save and load that, we have no health now. So we're able to save and load certain data. So I think the goal for today is going to be, let's see if we can save and load a new scene view row and column so that we can kind of teleport from the dungeon. The goal is like we die in the dungeon and we load back at the home screen. So I don't exactly know if we can pull that off, but we're gonna try. So I'm gonna look up the player instantiation we do. And see what the spawn zone is, the spawn point. I think I actually had that called spawn point. Okay, 112 is where we're starting here, and 7.2 is where we want to 7.2 is where we want to end up. Yeah, love is the game engine Pocket. So yeah, it looks like a little heart. Wow, I don't even have it clipped down here. I just run it in the terminal, but the logo is like a little heart. And then, yeah, it can actually do 3D stuff too. I've got a viewer that is building like a Minecraft-like 3D style game with it, so yeah, it should be easy. It really should be easy. So if we take a look at how we're doing this in our play state, here's our play state, and we have what's called a scene view. And a scene view is the global scene object that we're currently like looking at. So the scene view for what we're looking at here is, if we look at this map 7.4, that's the current scene. So this is 7.4, this would be 7.5. So I think we need to modify our save and load utility functions. What is it? Save data. Yeah, so we have let's save the current map row, and then we'll also save the current map column. I'm gonna just default to spelling it out, because if some are call, some are column, I'm gonna get really confused. So I think it's spelt out like this anyway. So we're gonna save the scene views row and column that we save it at. But then when we go to load, we want to load these things into our global variable and overwrite the things that are there. So if we go to load, we've got to see where. I'm just going to turn down this. Yeah, where do we use our save data utility? It's tough because my grep search is case sensitive, so I guess we could search for K because that's save. Okay, so look, we'll do, I like to do all caps here, save and then load. Okay, so if we load, we're going to go through And we're cycling through all that's in the bitzer load. So we load the binary data from the player data, and then we're currently printing it up, but we cycle through the table, and basically if the key, there's probably a better way to do this, but the idea is in the save file we have these keys we're assigning. So the key of health, the key of current map row. So we're saying if the key is equal to health, then take the value of that key and place it into our global player's health. So that's working. But I'm trying to think of another way to do this where we kind of have to check the key. Otherwise, good evening, Loki. What's up? How's it going? Yeah, let's continue with this paradigm. I mean, I think I don't like... We should do like a case switching sort of deal here or something, like instead of all these ifs, but I guess it's kind of the same. So let's get the exact spelling. And it is if the key is equal to current map row, and then also if the key is equal to current map column. Okay. So yeah, it should be, we should be able to just kind of do this where we say, let's take our row and put the value that the key that matches, put it in there. Okay. So yeah, if the key, it's kind of like, yeah, I'm sure there's a better optimization than this, but let's just see if it works. So first of all, we'll see if we're saving both our row and our column. So I'm going to save and load. We've got a row and 12, 112 is the dungeon up there. So if we save and load again, we got 4 and 7. Yeah, 7 and 4. Yeah, that's looking right. And then this should be 5 and 7. So save and load, 5 and 7. Cool. So we're... Oops. It didn't do anything because we did... If we press L, the thing we're seeing is this inspect file load, but what it should be doing is going through the keys and overriding the current map. Okay, so I don't think we ever tried loading. I think there is a... If there's not like a library for it, there was a case switching thing I saw. I've never done it before though, so maybe I'm making stuff up. So let's try to file load on a different scene than we save. So we're gonna save in the dungeon. So we're gonna save and load. We've got 12 and 1. So let's try to load a game when we're down here and see what happens. So I'm gonna hit load. Wow, it loaded. It loaded the... Wow, it loaded the pits. It just didn't load the new tiles. So it comes down to how we're drawing the tiles. It loaded the pits, it loaded the treasure chest, it loaded the warp zone. It officially changed our current scene map, but it didn't change what we were rendering. So we have to change our actual current map, I believe. Let's see. Current map. Because it all comes down to what we're rendering, right? Like we have to render all the tile IDs. So look, we're rendering... I know, not what I was expecting either. I really wanted to see what would happen. I'm like kind of glad that it just didn't work right off the bat, because I'm like, it can't be that easy, right? It can't be. But this, oh shoot. So we draw from a tile ID, a current map dot top level tiles. Okay, so our current map object is what we're drawing the tiles based on. So if we don't update our current map, then we won't get the proper tiles. So where do we assign the current map? Oh God. But then, you know, we need to do a bunch of stuff. We have to, because we pulled, well, actually, we pulled the collidable map objects, so that worked. It's going to be tough to test because I don't know what's broke. You know, like it's hard to see what would be broken. All the possible things that can break, you know? Man, I don't see where we're assigning the current map. It might be in this, in the scene. You know, it's on a scene transition. We're updating the current map. So I think it's just upon the shifting function. When we go to shift, begin shifting. Let's look at the declaration for this. Yes, we have a current map. Yeah, we assign, it should be upon the finish shifting, we assign the actual map. Yeah, so the current map gets the next map. Okay. So when do we assign the next map? Upon a shifting, yeah? A begin shifting? Next map. No. We have to make sure we kind of reassign the next map if we teleport like this. Because, it is upon... Okay, this should work. Yeah, we were just drawing the wrong map. So a scene is holding a reference to a potential two different maps, the current map and the next map if you're in a scene transition. So we just need to load the current map from our global current map row, whatever we want to call it. So we have to load our current map. You know, we pull the current map row and column, and that tells us which scene to load, but it doesn't tell us what map to load. So we need to pull the current map itself. It's kind of weird, you know. I mean, I didn't know how to develop this, so everything's kind of glued together. But we need the whole current map. So we're going to snag the current map when we save, and then when we load, we need to save it. So if our key is equal to a current map, then we're gonna reassign our scene view's current map to be equal to that map value. So let's see. Yeah, so Pocket, the current map, so we're gonna load you back wherever you last saved, and I haven't fully decided what constitutes a save. It might be resting at an inn, it might be meditating at a thing. So it's like I wanted like every dungeon to have like a little idle right outside of it so that you can save your progress right there before you go in. So you didn't have to like track all the way back from the beginning. But then maybe as you go deeper into the crazier territories, they're a little more spaced out, so you have to be a little more skilled to get there to a new save point. That kind of encourages some exploration for some more heart containers. Let's save while we're in here. We're gonna save. Oops. cannot serialize a function. So what function did we... Oh, current map has a function. Yeah, we need... Okay, so we need to... There is... let's see how we would do this. Because a map has all kinds of stuff. Look at all this stuff a map has. But all we need to do is set the current map... Like the, we have a row and column for the map. So if we pass in the row and column, we can assign the current map to be equal to... Man, how do we do this? Let me take a look at our declarations here. Yeah, see, we have a map object for every map. See, it's tough. Like I call them scenes and maps because I want to call it a scene, but it's not a scene. But then every map. See, and all of this stuff has values, so like or functions inside, so we can't just bitserize it. Do I have global coordinates? I don't know what you mean by that. We have basically everything only operates like right in the little window we're looking at. So the whole, it's all an illusion, right? So like when we walk off screen, our player just moves back to where it was. So like our coordinates are like just locked into the current map that we're looking at. I guess I gotta see how we instantiate the next map. Let's see the .next map. Okay, you know what? Yeah, I think it's as easy as just giving it a map, row and column. I wonder if we have, because we kind of need our spellcast entity to be... We'll pass in 1 for now for that, just because I still haven't figured out how we're going to do that. It'd be a respawn function with a health reference after you'd respawn to a specific coordinate. So each time a player runs through a space, that bool would turn true. Are you talking about for saving? Each time a player runs through a space, that bool would turn true. Yeah, I'm not sure. Are you talking about going to save? We definitely could do that for like a quick save. And maybe we have like some options. I haven't quite decided how saving's going to work just yet, but we'll figure it out. Once it's working, then we can decide how it works, right? So I think all we have to do is instantiate a map class using the map row and column that we pulled from Bitzer. So right here we have this example. So when we go to load, instead of, we have a current map row and column, so we kind of need, we would say, let's put inside the current map an instantiation using this current map column. I guess it depends on what order these are being called, right? So like, let's see, hold on one sec. Let's just put in the value here for our current map, but when we save, we're just gonna put in not the function, but we're just gonna put 40. It's just a value. Like we're just gonna see what order it is in the table when we load it. Current map and nil value. Let's not let's not put that in here. Let's just put it as a field. We actually don't need to do anything here because we're reading the load data. So current map 40. See, this is what I wanted to see. See how 40 is first. 40 is first in here, so that exactly, Squinch. Yeah, something kind of like that, where you've got to kind of like expand your territory to save where you can do it. Yeah, exactly. And that's, you know, it's half for encouraging the player to explore, but also like to not overextend so much, because you could have to go gather all your coins again if you overextend and get too deep into a dungeon. So I kind of want them to play a little cautiously, so it's, you know, because the game isn't going to be that long. So I kind of have to be a little smart with certain stuff like that, so that they can't just blow through the game and get to the very end right away without upgrading and stuff. So it's going to be a balance thing. But this is what I was worried about. The current map that we're pulling is in a table, and it's before we pull the map row and column. So I know, Pocket. It's like, you know, I want to do it tastefully, of course. Like I don't want to. It's not going to be hard for the sake of being hard. I want it to be more, you know, I want it to feel natural. So we'll see. It's tough because we can't pull the current map without having the map row and map column. And if this is being read first, we don't have access to these map row and map column. I know, exactly, yeah. Gotta keep them playing, right? Gotta have them put in another quarter. You know, so I want to be tasteful about it, but yeah. No, I know, because there are games and you can feel it. You're like, wow, you really just did that, didn't you? You just did that just so that you would add 2 hours to the game time. I don't know how to do this. I guess we can say we just need current map to be loaded last, so that we you know, we need the current map row and column before. If you use, you know what? That's not a bad idea. Yeah, I kind of like that, because you gather the coins, and you're saying like you can use the coins as currency to afford quick travel or something like that. Yeah, exactly. Put in your CVC code and your social, and we'll get you to where you're going. We promise. That's a good idea. That's a great idea. Yeah, mother's maiden name, favorite teacher, and your first pet's name. And then you'll get to win. I don't know. I'm kind of thinking that it's almost like we have to map. Oh man, I don't want to do it. My initial idea is nasty. It's like, just cycle through all of them once and snag the map columns, and then cycle through again and check for a current map key, and then insert the values we know we have. So just loop through the whole thing twice. But that's I mean, you know what? It's only 8 items, or you know, right now it's only 3 items. So I don't know. That's gross. I'm not proud of it, but sometimes you just gotta do some nasty stuff. So if the keys equal the current map, you know, we could, I always say this, where I'm like, we could think of a better way once we get it working, and then once we get it working, we just move on. So yeah, don't need the values to do anything. Yeah, they can just be flags. Just the problem is the current map key gets pulled before we have these values. So yeah, it's like the current map column is what's actually changing the collidable map objects that's in the current scene. But if we have those flags like you're saying, we still have to insert them into our current map once we have them, and that's where this second loop comes in. I'm not sure how to do it otherwise. So we would say, let's put in a map instantiation, and we would use our two values that we know we pulled from over here. So there's the first one. And then we need a entity, spellcast entity function too. Okay. I don't know. Let's see. Oh, we're going to save in here. We're going to save in our dungeon, and we're going to try to load down here. So let's see. Global map is a table value. Map, no, map is the map. Huh. Or 441 on play state. Right here. The map is of table. Because yeah, we'd be overriding. Current map could be stored as a value index. That value would store the row and column. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, we could do something like that. We can just store as a separate table, like a non-function table for Bitzer to just pull, so that we don't have to do this weird loop stuff. That is a good idea, Pocket. But the thing is, we're trying to. Let's say we do that. But we still would have to update our current map to be a new. Gosh, we're doing this. Yeah, we're doing this wrong. We have to do when we assign a next map. See how we're giving it a current map row. And next map becomes current map once we finish the transition. So I'm just trying to see how we modify the current map of our scene successfully on a transition for it to work. And how we're doing it is we're just instantiating a map with the correct coordinates into our .current map, because once we finish shifting, we say current map gets next map. So finish shifting, current map gets next map right here. So it's not. Oh, there are brackets here. We didn't do it as brackets, did we? Yeah, we got to do it as brackets. It's not a function. Okay, it's not a map instantiation. It's just pulling from the global table. Wait, is that right? Come on, where were we? Next map. No, it is an instantiation. Yeah, we've got the parentheses here. Current self.current map.row, self.current map.column. Self.current map.row. Oh, I did row and row. I mean, it's still. Yeah, I think it's still broken. Attempt to call global map a table. Oh, because, yeah, it's not. The class map is not all caps. The class map is like that. So let's save here in the dungeon, and we're going to try to load from down here. Oh, yo. Now do the entities load and everything? Yes, they do. Oh my gosh, and we fall. Oh my gosh. Epic. I mean, yeah, I mean, it's buggy as all hell, but we did it. So let's see if we can save our game here, come up here, and let's load our game. Okay, so we need our XY position too. So and this is kind of why I like to limit where we save, because we have to be able to know that we're spawning the player in a safe location. So like, see how there's a chasm right here. Let's see, where's a chasm? Like right here there's a chasm. So if we save in here, no, we save, well, for example, like I save right there when we're falling in a chasm, and then if I load there, we spawn in the chasm. So it's like we want to be able to limit the saves in some point. Transitions are just illusions, aren't they? Yeah. So like as soon as you begin a transition walking off screen, a next map appears wherever it's going to be transitioned, and then it just kind of like stops updating everything and just scrolls everything to the next position, and then we assign the next map into the current map, and then we delete the next map, so that you're just left with the current map. And there's not a next map until you initiate a transition. So like the game only really updates and knows about what's happening right in the current scene that we're looking at. After you init your objects, you can have another function to check if you have a save state, then load it if it finds one. After I init my objects, I can check if I have a save state. So your save is basically just setting flags for your function to overwrite the default values for your objects. Yes, I think that's the idea. I think I'm trying to wrap my head around all the values we need, like all of these values that have either default values or modifiable saving values, right? That can change. An arcade machine in town that allows the player to save if they have the coin. It's like, I'll tell you what, if you can beat 25 levels of Joust, 25 waves of Joust, then you can save the game. And you get one play, you get one life per quarter you put in. So let's figure out where to put the player, right? So like we need to I think that's a good reason to limit where we can save, because it's like when you save, yeah, exactly, it's like the typewriter where you walk up to the typewriter and save it. Yeah, I'm thinking more along the lines of Sekiro, where there's a little idol, a little prayer statue, and you go over there and you sit down and pray at it, and then when you die you come back to the praise statue. Yeah, so yeah, Pocket, I want all the towns to have an inn with a bed, and you can sleep in the bed, and that acts as a save. But also throughout the overworld, there's the little prayer statues, like a traveling save and a hometown save or whatever, you know. So that's the kind of idea I have right now, because we have a bed down here. I can't wait till we get all this placeholder art out and actual have real levels. Oh man, we got him. He says a bed costs 5 gems. We should say a bed costs a coin or whatever, and then actually put a bed in here because there's no bed in here. Yeah, and then a warp zone is a different trickery too, because we're in a map 8.3 and we go to a map 2.11. So like we warp there just like a dungeon because they're not connected adjacently. Yo, see a squinch. Okay, so I think what I want to do is let's have a save where we're saving here now, and then we load. We need to save our player's current location also so that we overwrite it, because right now we're loading where our player was on the old scene. So we need to snag our player's location also, because that's a safe spot. Because if they were standing there to save, they were in a safe spot. So we need a player X and a player Y that we pull here. Yeah, so player X is a key, and we're going to pull the player X from our global player. And then same thing with Y, where we say for our Y, let's pull our Y, and then when we go to save, there's got to be a better way to do this. Oh, you know what? We could have a table like an X and Y. What's the point of doing it live instead of just saving the coordinates? What do you mean doing it live? Instead of saving the coordinates of the statues and beds. We're not saving the coordinates of the statues and beds. It's just that when you save it, we pull the player's coordinates once you save it. So if you were on the left side of the statue, that would have been your save spot. If you were on the right, it would have that would be your save spot. So, and let's do. I do want to do your idea here for this, where we can say, let's in our save, let's try to save multiple values here, like we have player coordinates. And it's a table holding both of them. Saving the player's coordinates dynamically, so instead of doing it that way, just have a default coordinate. Instead of doing it the way you're saying, just have a default coordinate. Yeah, I don't want to do that. I want the statues and beds to be wherever, and I want you to be able to save from wherever angle you're kind of approaching it. Let's see if saving it in a table like this works, and then we'll see if we can have a bigger or a smaller if statements here. So once we get to our player coordinates, then we're going to say, let's take our global players, and I think we can do it like this, where we can say, kind of deconstruct it with commas and say, let's just get the value, which is the table of both of those. Yeah, we kind of have that in terms of the checkpoint system. So every like 1 second we're pulling the values. This checkpoint position, it pulls our X and Y value like every second. So we kind of have that already. But you know, where you save it is different than where you die. So we have to make sure that if we save it here, which I just did, go to another screen and load it, we'd go back to where we saved it. So it didn't like a table value for this deconstruction. So maybe we have to put it in a brace, a curly brace like this. I don't know. We're going to try to save it down here and then load it when we're here. No. Okay, it doesn't like that, but maybe we can just deconstruct it out like this. Vx and Vy like that. Yeah, you're right. You're right. I should do it based on a tick. Yeah, you're absolutely right on that. Because I think it is... Oh, come on. Entity 316. So we say the player X and Y gets a value X and Y. Let me just try to put... Can we just put any value in there and have it load that? Save down here. Okay, so that... So it can load the values, so that means we're not deconstructing it right. So like if the value is the table itself, yeah, why wouldn't the dot x... Oh... When we save it, we put, yeah, because this would turn into like just a table of two values. Oh, we might have to do, oh, because it gets treated as a value. So I think all we have to do is say v index 1, v index 2. Because it's a table, so we're just going to say the first value, second value. So we're going to save it over here, save. And then we're gonna load. Nice. It didn't save the direction we were facing. So that's another thing we need to save, because if we're facing up and save it and then face down and load, we're still facing down. So we need to load the direction of our player too. So see, so like this is what's tough to test, right? Because it's like we don't know what's all wrong unless we see it proved, right? Like I'm worried that we might be breaking a lot of stuff that we don't know. But on the other hand, it's like we don't want to copy everything because everything is not necessary. We just have to know what is necessary. So direction is complicated, but it's based off the inputs. So basically, if you hold more than one input, whatever input you held last is your direction, and that's which direction your sprite is oriented. And then if you let go of a input at that point, it'll be the previous input before that. So it remembers which order inputs you hold, and it always takes the direction of the last input that was held. So as you let go, it becomes previous and previous, if that makes sense. So we do just need to be able to save the player's direction. As well. And so like we could do like we're doing for this, where we say we just have a table X, Y, something. We could store the last input in a single table. We've already got it. Once we save, we have access to the player's direction, so we're just going to save the direction that we already had, the direction that we were using to render the player as we saved. We're going to just snag that direction and use it in the load. So let's see, we're gonna see, let's face right and save. Oops. Save date, not save data. Yeah. So we're gonna face right and save. And then we're gonna face anything but right and load. Yes, it did switch us. And ideally we would have a little animation for a reload. I mean, you can't reload a game unless you are starting from the title screen or continuing from a death. So the transition might be okay. So like let's try to do it now from a death. Let's try to load the last save you had. So now, we have this continue quit. So when we hit continue, we need to load our save data, which would reset our hearts, which would prevent the game over and fix this bug that's been haunting us. So when we go to a change to, it's another state. It's the falling chasm state. Now when we hit continue, now this is one thing I'm worried about too, because we're in a different state. So do we have access to the save and load function? Because right here, if the option selector, you hit enter and your option selector was play, we can call this continue game. Because we're going to change back to play state. And before we change back to play state, we need to load our last save. So let's try to load the last save right here. And that would require pulling this function. We probably want to, I'm trying to think, because this takes in a play state. So when we run, let me think about this. Load test. It's just a value. Load test is just the value that we're loading from the save player data bin. So we should be able to do this in our other state. I'm just wanting to be able to load from a title screen state or a continue state. And right now, the load isn't a function. It's just like sitting here in our play state waiting for an L key press to load. So we should probably turn this into a global function that we can call in any state, and it will just load the player's data into the appropriate spots. So we kind of need, I guess this could be a method in our save data class, and we can see, and this is, I don't know, because we kind of have this setup where load test is a save data instantiation, isn't it? Or saveUtility. So where are we using saveUtility? Okay, so we do have this where we let's go to our saveUtility and make a load function so that we can do it just like how we're doing it here. See, it's nice that we can say, let's run the save player data method, but it's not complete. We should probably have all of this junk in the save player data method too. So we can just say, if key is pressed, go ahead and save the data. That's it. And then in our class, this method does all this stuff. So let's do that, and then we can simplify our load also. And then, yo, what are you talking about? It's not a big problem. I'm just talking through like what we're gonna do. So we're just gonna put, we want this save player data method to do all of this saving for us. So right now, this save player data method returns a value that we're putting inside of test. It's just a variable. So when we do save player data, It's actually from a saveUtility. That's in the saveData class. Okay, so yeah, so this is our savePlayerData that we're returning is just, this is strange. Okay, so that's just, that should really be called savePlayerData. But, so let's do this, save. Yeah, we basically want to run this method and have it do the actual saving inside the class also. So ideally, all we have to do is run this method. Let me think. So if we had, you know, what we want to do, let me think this through. Because yeah, we'd have to do this saveUtility, savePlayerData. This is actually like the actual table of data. So if we use that as an argument for saving, so like if we had this can all be one function, like, yeah, so let's snag what this does and try to put it in the class here. So save data. First thing we do is snag all the data. Then what we're gonna do is we have the table, so the thing we're trying to write is the save data table. So we should say save data right here. We don't need to return save data. We just need to serialize the save data and close the file. So we're opening a file where bits are dumping the serialized binary of the whole table that we just made right here. So when we run our savePlayerData, it calculates all the save data and serializes it with Bitzer. So here, all we have to do is run the method on our saveUtility, and we should have what we are looking for. So let's see if that worked. We're gonna save and we're gonna load. Nice. Cool. And we're printing up this data. We doing it here? Yeah, load test. Okay. So we want load to function the same way, right? We want it to be a method in our save data utility or saveUtility. And we're going to do the same thing where we want to just say, let's go into our saveUtility and run the load player data. So that's what it looks like. And we need to give us this method here. Oops. Okay, so in our utility class, we're going to have a new function called load player data. And we load the file. We don't need this. Load test. Okay, so this is just, we can just say local load. I don't want to print this. I do want to cycle through the table of our load. Do all the stuff, all the new assignments. I just realized our indenting is so off. Like our indenting here, look at this. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 indents on this. There it's fine, but there's that's so jacked up. I mean, that's still 4. All right, we'll have to do a pass where we just try to clean that up. Okay, so all we're doing is exactly what we used to be doing, just we're doing it in a method in our save data utility now. So now when we press L, all we do is load the player data, and that allows us to run this utility function in the falling chasm state also, so that we can do it from a title screen state or a falling chasm state as well. So we're going to test it. We're going to save over here. I'm going to walk over here, face a different direction, load, and it worked. Cool. So let's try to do it from the that's been my mentality for this whole game, where I'm and then I stream it, but I'm like, basically, like, if it works and it's held together by duct tape, at least it works technically. So this saveUtility, self.saveUtility, is a class. You know, I mean, it's kind of weird that it's a class. It could be just a global function. It could just be a global function, because then we wouldn't have to instantiate it in order to have the methods. But it's also just like one extra line of code if we do it that way. I don't know. I guess we could do it a global function, but let's try to import it into our falling chasm state. Because all we have to do, we have to say, okay, well, our falling chasm state is going to have a saveUtility with those methods. Then when we go to save, or then we go to load the last save, we're going to say, let's take our saveUtility and let's run the load player, what was it called? Load player data. Load player data right here. And we'll run it as a function, and we will this is jacked up. There we go. Yeah, we'll load our player data, then we'll change back to a play state. So as long as there is a save player data bin file, we should be able to load from a death. So we're going to go over here to the ice world, and we're going to save. Then we're going to die in a chasm, and we're going to try to continue our game and see what happens. So we die, game over. Let's try to continue our game. Okay. Now, we triggered a game over, and we're flashing. It loaded us, but it thinks it's a game over, and we're triggering game over a little differently for the play state. I'm not remembering what we did, but also damage flashing needs to get reset. Dead timer. You know, dead timer. If dead timer is greater than 2, then game over, baby. So we need to reset our dead timer too. Now we can either do this in the saveUtility. See, it doesn't make sense to save the value of the dead timer. We just need to flush our dead timer as soon as we die. As soon as we trigger a game over state, then dead timer gets flushed. So dead timer, you know, this would be in the play state when we're gonna go, when we change to player, no, it would be, crap, where did we do it? You know, it has to do with our health being smaller than 0 or equal to 0. Okay, so if we die, yeah, let's reset our dead timer here. And dead timer is just the time from when you die to when game over shows up on the screen. So like you die, it gives it a 2-second timer, and then game over shows up. So we actually need to not do this here, because if we dead and set dead timer, then game over would never show up. So if we die outside of a chasm here, let's get shot by a bat, and we'll die. Dead timer is set. Oh, I get. We are doing it. So if we have dead timer gets 0. Yo, where are we doing the game over render? If we're dead, we're gonna count dead timer. If our dead timer is greater than 2, game over is true. But we're also saying if our health is smaller than or equal to 0 and we're not already dead, then we're going to become dead. Yeah, that isn't where we need to set dead timer. If we chasm die, we need to set our dead timer to 0. So we can do this here. If chasm death, yeah, if we chasm death, we're going to reset our dead timer so we don't accidentally flash our game over. So let's try a chasm death reload here. Oh, I need to save the game so that it knows where to load us. And then we're going to die in a chasm. We're going to continue our game. And we've still got game over. So that means dead timer is still being set. If chasm death, we're also not dead anymore. I can't tell if we were dead, but let's see. So we're going to save out here. Going to try to load. Okay, so that fixed our game over. So, but we also need our damage flash to be false. Save. Die in a chasm. Continue. Damage flash, we're still flashing. Oh, damage flash. Gosh, so damage flash is a different thing than actually flashing. And let's flush our hit as well. Because the thing is, when we get hit, we get like a knockback velocity. And as long as we have a velocity, that's why we're damage flashing. So if we just... Man, shit, I thought that would fix it. You know, we might have a leftover velocity. We might have a leftover velocity. We're still flashing. Now in our player, or what's it, entity class or player? We're in our player class. Where is damage flash? It's part of flashing, damage flash timer. Probably need to reset flash timer too. Gosh, this is so jacked up. So here, this is where we're flashing, but also we're flashing based on that boolean, and we're doing this if our flash timer is smaller or equal to 0, then we're gonna be flashing. So we need to set our flash timer. We need to reset our flash timer to whatever that default is, which it is damage flash frequency. Okay, flash frequency. Okay. So when we die, we need to become not flashing, not damage flashing, and reset our flash timer. You probably don't need this. I mean, it can't hurt. Because, yeah, we should probably just make sure those are flushed anyway. So we're going to try to go over here and save it. And then we're going to die and try to load. Shit. Damage flash timer a nil value. It's part of the entity, which is part of the player. Well, the player is an entity, so it's like the player, yeah. So it just didn't like that line, that flash timer, because that was part of the entity class, not the player, but the player inherits the entity. So we might have to just do that based on the player. That is weird. Like, could we do that? Like, would it allow us to do that? Save. And we're going to continue from a chasm death. No. Attempt to perform arithmetic on damage flash timer. Okay, we have to look at that. In our entity, when we're doing arithmetic on damage flash timer, we're doing it only if we're damage flash, which we reset it to be false. So why come damage flash when we set it? We might have to set our global players damage flash. Wait a second, hold on one second. I just screwed that up. In our player. Yeah, let's try to get rid of this and this and just try to do global player. Wait, is it? You know what? I think it's damage flash, not damage flashing. Yeah, it is damage flash. Shoot. Okay, well then let's try self-damage flash. Okay. Save. And we'll try to continue. No. Still flashing. Yo, Pocket. we're damage flashing. We're flashing red when we respawn. And I'm trying to fix that. There's a bunch of variables that relate to damage flashing. And we tried resetting them when we continue game, but still flashing. So let's wait a second. Did it? That's so weird. It loads us in the wrong spot when we use a self-damage flash instead of a global player damage flash. Because this is so strange, because the player is an entity, but the damage flash variable is part of the entity, not part of the player. So I kind of did this where I said, let's take the global player and let's just say that we have here where where flashing is false and also hit is false, because those are all values that trigger the damage flashing. So we'll run those on our global player instead of, on the entity itself instead of the player itself, if that makes any sense. No, we're still flashing. The health is updating. We've got the proper health here, and it's the damage flash doesn't have to do with what amount of health. It has to do with like when you get collided with an entity and when you have a velocity. And so it's kind of weird. We have to reset this damage flash timer. I think that's the only thing that isn't reset. So let's reset the damage flash timer for the entity and see if that fixes it. Save, and we'll continue. Damage flash timer nil value. Damage flash timer. Damage flash timer. It's not a nil value. So like the only line of code that's triggering the flashing is right here, right? It's just whether or not we're flashing or not. If we're flashing, then we set our color to red, and then see, and it's weird because it's like flashing could be red or it could be not red. It alternates based on the flash timer. So if we look at flashing, right here we have a flash timer, and we basically undo whatever flashing we are. We reset our flash timer, and then we deduct time from our flash timer. What the heck is flash duration? Okay, flash duration. Gosh, we probably have to reset our flash duration too. Because the timer is like what period of time the flashing is oscillating, but the flash duration is how long we're flashing for. So this flash duration is a positive number that gets decremented. So if it's still being decremented and it's still bigger than 0, then we're still going to become flashing because, well, I don't know, because we only do any of this stuff if we are damage flashing, and that's the first thing we turned off in the load was, wait, damage? Yeah, damage flash, not flashing. Let's just try to reset our duration. I don't think that's it. But this is kind of weird. Damage flash timer, nil value. So somewhere calling it after the fact. How does update work? Entity update. So the entity is a class that has a whole bunch of different stuff for rendering animations and for updating position over time and rendering sprite sheets. And a player is the class that has all the stuff relevant to the player, but the player inherits the entity class. So anything a player has all the entities, and update is just every tick update gets ran. So any tick, all of the entity update function gets ran. I'm trying to think of what would be causing the damage flash still, like, because it's got to be something in the entity class. You know, we've got to be using damage flash somewhere else, and it's carrying over. We've got to be doing that somewhere. Yeah, give me a sec. I'm going to look at the... There's so much junk. There's so much junk in the entity update. Like, I'm telling you, it's a lot. So I'm searching for anything like this where damage flash would get set to true. So look at this graveyard timer. Oh my god. So in the map, we're saying if our player... So graveyard, what is graveyard? Graveyard gets true. Okay, so graveyard's how we trigger the death, essentially. So it's like once we fall and the falling is played, when we fall in a pit, we trigger the graveyard. If it's a graveyard, we trigger the damage flash. So we just need to become graveyard false, and it should stop. Let's try... and graveyard was part of the map, the scene view player graveyard. Oh, so the player. So we should just be able to flush our graveyard. So self graveyard is false because we're in a chasm and we're not in the graveyard anymore. We're already dead. Graveyard is a weird word to call that. Let's try that, where we flush our graveyard, because it still thought we were in the graveyard, so it was still counting a damage flash for us. So we're going to save over here. Save, and then we're going to try to load once we continue. It worked! It was graveyard. So we should... I think all we need is damage flash and graveyard. But does damage flash run on the player class and not the entity class? That's what I don't know. Save. It worked. Is there a stop implemented? No, it just runs Yeah, it just runs every frame. That's why we were using the state machine, so it's like anything we don't want it to run, we just put it in a different state. So the play state is all the gaming function, but then we have the inventory state or the player falling in chasm state. So another thing we have to save and load is the state of the collidable map objects like treasure chests, because right here, and this is probably a bad example because we're closing the treasure chest every time we exit because I wanted to test opening it. So we have to unopen that every time so that we can save the state of the treasure chest as part of our save utility, so that you can only open certain treasure chests once, right? I think most treasure chests or all treasure chests are only going to be able to be opened once. So there's going to be stuff like crates where you can break the crates and get coins like we've got over here. So these can respawn, so you can get more coins. But stuff like treasure chests won't respawn. And right now, the crates aren't respawning, but we can, I don't know what we want to do with that. Those were just a test, right? Crates will be in dungeons, probably not so much in the overworld, because we're going to have them, we're going to have bats chasing you while you're trying to push these crates around, and the bats are going to spit and knock you into these chasms while you're trying to push these crates into place, right? As part of the battle, and you're going to try to try to fight them off. Okay. That's awesome. We've got saving and loading in the game, and it actually works. Like we should add the load to our player title state. Start. I guess the only thing with that is we have to ignore our binary save data, just because I don't want to be committing every save every time. So if we do that, then, well, I guess we don't start the game in the title screen state. So right now, the only way to get in the title screen state is to quit from a falling chasm state. So let's keep that for now, because if the player loads, if someone downloads the repo and it goes to the title screen state and they hit continue, there's no data to load when you continue. So either we have to have like dummy data for a new game if it doesn't exist. We'll have to figure out how to do that for new players, but otherwise we're just going to load it and overwrite what was in there. So let's at least do this for the title screen. So title screen, we're going to import our save data utility. So we call it is a class of a save data. I might want to switch those names around. I might call the class save data utility and call the object or whatever the actual save data. I don't know. But when we do enter and we go to enter our play state, we want to load our save file. And we do that simply by save data utility, run our save player data, load player data. Load player data method right there. So let's go to a play state. So look, we're gonna save our screen over here. We're gonna save our game right here. Then we're gonna die in a chasm and quit to the title screen. So we died, we go to quit, we're at a title screen, we hit enter, and we come back to our save. Booyah. Epic, epic, epic. Uh-oh. Something screwed up. Something screwed up. I just froze something. I couldn't tell if I don't know why that happened. Let's try to load again. I think I might have hit escape. Oh, uh-oh. Uh-oh. We're not loading our NPCs. Well, no, that one's fine. Why is this guy... What the... No, chests once chests become opened, they become part of our save data. So they won't be able to open a chest more than once. Right now they are, just because I was testing it and we reclose it every time we exit. So we just have to make sure to add that. And for whatever reason, the wizard collision detection was off. That was so weird. Anyways, this is a great stopping point. I feel like we have, let's run our get diff. Uh-oh, what the heck was that? Okay. So we reset a couple values upon dying in a chasm so that we don't get damage flash. The dot hit in DX is probably overkill, but doesn't really matter. We changed our save player methods to actually do the saving and loading. So that was nice, so that we can use our save utility in other states. Then when we load the option selector from a title state, we load our game data. And when we press K and L right now, those are not going to stay, but K and L is our save and load right now. And then, yeah, we pull our save data from the title screen as well. But where did... Oh, we already passed it. Yeah, it was the save data utility. Yep. Okay. That looks right. Now we need to remove and probably get ignore our binary files. So we have a .bin that we need to get ignore. So let's... How do we do this? We want to add any .bin to our get ignore. I still see it in there. .bin. How do you do it globally? Yo, thanks, Quinge. It was good. It was a good progress. I'm so glad that's starting to work now. We did have that bug with the wizard. I don't know if we can do that, if we can recreate that again, but that was definitely messed up. And then let's see, add .bin. Okay. It's literally what I'm doing. Star.bin. Prevents untracked files from being added. If they're already in the repo, they'll be continued to be tracked until you remove them. Okay, so how to remove .bin from being tracked. Do you have to do remove? Restore? Get remove cached.bin. really. Get remove cache to .bin. Okay. So if that's in our get bin now, we can say get remove cached bin and then get status and our bin's gone. Okay. Cool. So we're no longer tracking it. So let's just test if we make a new binary file that it gets ignored. So we're going to say saves. Let's just duplicate this so that there's now a copy bin. And we're going to get status, and it is still ignored. Cool. And right now, our binary save data is 1 kilobyte. So that's good. Cool. Let us add everything to the staging area, and we'll commit with a message saying we added save data, save and load data as methods to saveUtility. And loading save binaries upon continue game. Cool. All right. That's it for today. We'll do some more stuff tomorrow. Thanks for hanging, Pocket, and Squinch, and Loki. Thanks for hanging. Yeah, we got some good work done today. Saving, that's huge. That's huge. We should probably check the roadmap here soon and get a new game plan together, because now that the fall state is in there and the loading is in there, we probably need to also add saving, like proper saving, right? Like player UI saving next. So we'll probably add it to the bed first. I don't know. Yeah, I think saving is probably the next one because, well, we have to add a couple of unique things. I'm trying to tackle the hardest stuff first so that it gets easier and easier. You have more experience in Lua than anything, so excited when I stream. That is cool to hear. I am a beginner in Lua. I'm teaching myself too, so I'm not like an expert at all, but I'm figuring it out too. Thanks for hanging. I'm glad you find it useful or fun. Let's raid out here to Hypnotic and we'll call it a night. Yeah, I hope everyone has a great night. And I'll be back tomorrow and we'll try to get some save idols and maybe some beds actually triggering the save. So that'll probably be tomorrow. Peace out, everyone. Thanks for watching.